All right, hey everyone. So this is my year 11 decision round, and I'm going to show you kind of what I'm going to be doing for the Best-Strategy Invitational that I'm competing in, and kind of explain my thoughts and process on why I'm choosing what I'm doing, give you some tips, explanations, and hopefully this helps you in your BSG game. Like I said, I'm going to be competing. If you haven't heard a little bit about or don't understand where I'm kind of going from right now, I have two other videos that you can watch, an introduction and another one that goes over all the decision entries if you want something in more detail. But for this one, it's going to be short, sweet, and just going to go over my thoughts on what I'm doing for this year to hopefully beat my competition. So first off, I'm going to explain kind of where my thoughts are on competitive assumptions. So these are important for understanding the projections over in the bottom left corner to see kind of where you're going to be at. Hopefully, most likely, as long as your projections are right. The first thing I'm going to show you is why I analyzed that it's most likely going to be a 5-star, because usually it's 4, but I'm going to analyze that it's a 5-star projected for year 11 against my competition and some of these other projections as well. So what I did was I was curious to see if there's any data I could find online on what other people are going to be doing. And you can see, so I found this. If you go to the business strategy uh, game and you look at the view invitational, past competitions, and I clicked May. And then if you click the view footwear industry report, you get to these reports that happened in the last competition. Go down to page 8. We have all this wonderful data on what happened throughout the course of their games and their industries. So I took a composite of 6 of these, and you can kind of see the uh, projections and what they're looking like, the trends. And over it, it kind of goes up and then down towards the end. Here, up, down towards the end, up, down towards the end. And this one's a little bit more sporadic. This one was a lot more competitive, but it still goes up and somewhat down towards the end. So what I did was I compiled let's see here. I compiled an Excel worksheet with this data to try and find the averages. As you can see, I got the average I took the information in North America, got the annual averages, and mainly I'm just working on year 11 to quickly figure out what I'm going to be having to do for tomorrow's decisions. So you can see North America's average year 11 was 5.3. Europe was 5.3. Then I have the median right here. You can go down and see that Asia Pacific was 5.2 and Latin America was around 5.2 as well. So that's where I got the 5 stars, and I can unfortunately only go to 5 stars, but I'm expecting it to go higher than that. And then we can also see the internet price. So you can see from here, the internet price on average was about $73, and then the wholesale price for North America was about $52. I gathered all this information, which allowed me to go back into the BSG game and make these competitive assumptions to have a better idea of where I'm going to be at against my competition. So the wholesale price I put for $51, which is what I'm anticipating, 56, 51, 56, and from there. Now, a logical thing that to keep in mind, if, for example, let's say you were going to spend a lot on brand advertising, so you're going to go all the way up to 30,000, make sure you change your brand advertising here, because most likely this is going to probably go up quite a bit, because based on averages, you are raising the bar so much that this is most likely going to go up by a lot. So make sure you take that in consideration when you're raising something by a lot, to look at the competitive assumptions, because you can get bonus points if this is accurate. You get bonus points over by projecting accurately. So compensation and training for my strategy, I'm going to be investing a lot in best practices training, mainly because it's cumulative. So no matter what, if I have to change my strategy later in the game, just because if something happens I don't wasn't expecting, I'm still going to gain these cumulative benefits no matter what, even if I have to drop them. So I'm going to invest a lot in those. These I'm going to keep pretty modest, just to benefit mainly to keep my workers at a above average level, for regular compensation, so I can keep high productivity, and hopefully other companies aren't paying their employees as much or way more than I am. Branded production, here I'm going to be going up to about 5.6, 5.7 stars for these two. Main reason is that I'm expecting shoes to be at a 5.2 in all different areas. So I want to make sure I'm a little bit above that to have a competitive advantage. Number of styles, I'm going to be doing 300 on each of these to gain the branded production I needed. So for production facilities, you want to usually max out your production facility space because it spreads the cost over a lot more area. So you learn in business school. So of course you want to maximize that. So I did that. And then as you can see here, I'm investing a lot in Sigma 6 because these are cumulative as well. If I need to change them in the future for competitive reasons, I can. But the other things I can change on the fly as needed, but it's always good to invest early on into Sigma 6 and best practices because you can always drop it down and still have the benefits for the future. Production facilities, so like I said, I'm expanding equipment. I'm using new equipment because I want to have a good star rating. And layout, I am definitely going to be investing in setup costs. This is always usually a yes, especially if you're going to be making a lot of shoes or a lot of different models of shoes. Distribution and warehouse, as you can see, I always usually send my North America first, then Europe Pacific, and over here I finish off Europe Pacific or Europe Africa, and then Asia Pacific, and then whatever I have remaining goes to Latin America. I'm going to be building 2,000 space because I'm expecting that production needs are going to go up a little bit. You don't want to build too much because if you're over capacity, you're going to be wasting a lot of funds on building new space. But I want to primarily make sure I have enough capacity to get rid of these tariff costs because they're expensive, and I don't want to have those. It just eats your profit away. I might be investing in Europe Pacific or Europe Africa in the future, but I haven't decided yet. Internet marketing, I'm raising the price of my shoes because I'm going to have plenty. Now, one thing I did was search engine advertising. I dropped all these down to 0 because if you look at it and play with the numbers, no matter what, if your competition drops down on search engine advertising, or let's say they raise it a lot, you're still better off dropping it to 0, at least in my scenario. So play around with the numbers and try dropping it to 0 and see what it does in your net profit and your net revenues and see how you do, and change the competitive assumptions too. Since I'm dropping it down to 0, I'm guessing that the average is going to go down. So I put that in my competitive assumptions. I'm not doing free shipping. I haven't seen return on it in the past, and so I'm not going to be doing that right away. Wholesale marketing, I'm raising my prices. I'm going to be advertising appropriately here. Usually so I'm going to be trying to keep around 250 extra pairs of shoes. It's always better to have a little bit more than not enough shoes because like I said in my last videos, if you don't have it, somebody else, they're going to buy it from a different company and you're giving away free money. So always make sure you have some leftover shoes here. Usually 200, 300. It just really depends on your market and who your competition, what they're doing. I'm investing a little bit more in retailer support because this is a kind of a long-term strategy. If you invest above the average against your competition, you're going to have more retailers that want to support your shoes. And delivery time, I'm keeping at 3, and mail-in rebate, I'm keeping at 5. I didn't see a benefit of dropping. Actually, it was bad to drop it, even if the competition drops theirs or even raises it. Private label, this is the sweet spot. This is where I always try to make sure I win. So here's the thing with when you're playing the game, always start with no when you're playing with the numbers on these, because this is like extra money. This is extra stuff. If you win it, great, but make sure you're good without winning these. I would not prioritize these. These are risky, and we in my MBA program, when we were playing it, we dominated the competition, and we really gave them a tough time because one time they put in so many pairs of shoes, they had so much left over, and it just killed them as a company. So as you can see, when you put no on these, your projections are going to look a little bit different and way worse, but that's okay. At least I know if I don't win any of these, I'm still going to be okay on all these metrics. So I'm going to go back to yes, because I believe I'm going to win them. I put my prices at a competitive rate where I might make a little bit of money, but as you can see, here's something interesting. I'm at a 75 image rating right now. If I win all these, I go up to 85. So it's really beneficial to make sure you win these for your image rating, which helps you make more sales in the future. Also, drop all these down to 0. If you're at the minimum, you do not need to spend money on these. So drop it down to 0 if you're at the minimum or above. Celebrity endorsements. This is another tough one where you have to decide how much you want to spend. I have no idea what my competition is going to do on spending these. They might spend a lot. They might spend a little. I'm might be overspending, but I think honestly I'm underspending, and I might not win any of these, which would be really disappointing. But I am offering all of them. I put a cap, so I'll have a max of 3, and the 3 is the best. It's the best option is to get 3 at the lowest price possible. Do not overspend on celebrity endorsements. Corporate citizenship, I'm going to be spending a little bit on this because it is a long-term initiative. So over the 5 years, I'm going to get a good image rating boost. So I'm going to see what my competition is spending on this first before I put too much money into it. Then financing cash flow, I'm going to be refinancing these loans to get that 7.5% interest. I have to take out quite a big loan because I am expanding facility and I bought extra equipment, but that's okay. I'm hoping that it's going to pay off in the end. And you can see I have a low risk of default. My debt to asset ratio is high, but I also have a really high interest coverage ratio. So, and that's why I'm going to have a A credit rating, and then I'll be able to refinance again and get a lower interest rate for the next year. Usually you always want to repurchase stock. Your EPS, your ROE, a lot of that's going to be on stock repurchases. So try to always repurchase stock if you can, if you have the money. I'm not paying any dividends until later in the game. And then also stock issue, like it's because you want as low shares as possible. Try not to really ever do this. But other than that, this are my decisions for year 11 for the Best-Strategy Invitational for 2020. And I will be hopefully making a video tomorrow that's going to go over the footwear industry report, which is important. And I will explain my year 12, 11 decisions. All right. Thanks for watching.